maybe some NOS.
One did 50 once, but that's because somebody dropped it off a cliff.
I tell you what, like Madeleine McKay will be found before.
Podcast.
Can we start now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
we
God.
absolutely can.
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Sorry that there wasn't a last one. It broke.
Yeah, there was a last one about 3-4 weeks ago.
It exists. It's out there.
I could stick some of the audio at the end of this if you want.
Wee, stick it in
Yeah.
there.
Yay!
Look at just that
Calm down,
block
Wayne.
of audio there.
That's just
that's
Wayne.
the shape of Wayne. That's your imprint on this world, Wayne. Are you happy now?
That is the speed of Wayne.
What, 0 to 40 in 9 days? That's the
Yeah.
speed of Wayne.
Drilling in progress.
Yeah.
114 seconds, Wayne.
Okay.
That's way too long.
Oh, yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah,
man.
welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. But we've been away for a while
Yeah.
because I don't know where we've
Playing Halo.
been pretty lazy, I guess.
Halo's been out for like a few days.
Yeah, he's been out for
Lazy
like 3
bums.
days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've played it enough that it feels like it's been out for a year.
I've been really busy
Playing
with
Dota.
nothing. And Dota. Dota and nothing. Not even that much Dota because I'm getting fucking sick of it lately.
Really?
Dota.
Oh, wow.
More the people I play with pissing me off.
These
Well, let's go
guys
do
play
some
Dota.
Sudokus.
What? These guys play Dota on almost a regular basis, all 3 of them, and I
Yeah.
don't. So when they come over to do a cast, they spend half an hour talking about Dota. and
Half
I'm
an
just
hour,
like
20
puddings.
He doesn't play Dota because he's
Yeah, earlier he was just trying to show us something with Halo. It's just we're sitting there talking about stuff. He's just like Halo.
Yeah, I'm just
Halo.
like, look at the halos.
Halos. Pointing at the screen.
I love the
I like
halos.
I do the
Ricky
shooty on the
Then
alien.
everybody's just in, and I was just like, I like Halo.
And we're like, but that Ricky Doe, so OP Doe.
No, Phantom Lancers. Okay.
We've begun.
Yeah, pretty easy to know. Pretty easy to
Guys,
fuck up.
it's all about Ursa.
Oh, this is OP!
Fuck off.
Anyway,
So,
podcast.
Nobody cares.
so yeah, we're back after
Back in black.
after a lengthy absence. What are we going to call this
Wee.
podcast series 9, number 1?
Yeah, something like that.
something.
Comeback podcast number 482
Yeah.
or something.
Let's not call it a comeback
No.
podcast.
Because it's not getting off. We're not getting it off Wayne's mum's face. So.
Oh, you never refrain from making that exact joke.
Yeah, but I have to go there. Right?
Oh,
Tom,
Jesus.
I'm the lowest common denominator in terms of comedy. Yes.
Who made you cry as a child?
Dunno.
Cool. I just go slap him in the face.
I don't under.
I don't
It's just-
understand.
I think I should be offended, but let's move on to the
It's like
topics.
I don't.
Tom has childhood issues. So the reason he makes all these jokes about my mum.
You says the man who spends most of his time on Xbox Live telling people to suck his dick. all I get is, Wayne, why do you keep dying? Hey, suck my dick, man! Oh, I'm gonna ram my dick into your face, man! Just like, god damn it, Wayne, you have unresolved issues.
Wayne,
Please stop
you
it.
shouldn't dirty talk the people you're playing Halo campaign with.
Especially when they're not even match made, they're actually
Yeah.
your friends. So-
Dude, my friends sit there 24/7 just like taking the piss out of me. That's all you guys do.
For the record, Wayne
It's
didn't
one of those
invert comma
games
thing.
which just turns you into a small child. While you're playing that game,
What,
you're
life?
10-year-olds.
Yeah.
No. It's
Wayne.
just because all they do
Halo-
is sit there taking the piss out of me all day, like to a point where sometimes.
No,
I'm
but
like,
Halo
I can't
does
be
bring out the
fucked
worst
going
in
to
people.
today.
Dude, like I would never say you suck dick to anyone unless I'm playing Dota, and then it just comes out.
We've already started on a low-key situation.
Hey,
I'm playing
guys.
Dota and just poof on the keyboard.
Hey guys, mash
Mash.
sucks the Russians.
Andreas, what's our first topic, please?
Funny enough, it's about Halo. Well,
Yes.
I mean, this week we've sort of come back off the back end of quite a big sort of, well, the start of the game releases, really. I
Yeah.
mean, this week we had Halo. Well, last week we had Call of Duty. This week we had Halo
Yep.
and
Assassin's Creed.
and then next week we've got the GTA. We've got
And Dragon
Pokemon.
Age.
We've got Dragon Age. We've got at the end of the month we've got other things.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like the Xbox UK do a thing where they give you like a calendar of all the big exclusive releases
Yeah.
coming out on like things, and they have 10 games on it this month, and it's that doesn't
that's
sound like
a lot,
much, but when it's
that's probably
exclusive,
yeah. That's also more than the last like 3-4 months, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, this generation really started slowly. Started very slowly.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them do, but it feels like this one, maybe because I adopted earlier than I normally do, was really that slow.
Yeah, I
because
think there was sort of their release games and then nothing, and they've
Yeah.
waited till this sort of holiday
sort of,
period
yeah.
to get
And
everything out.
I thought that, like, I mean, I got the only other console I adopted really early was a PS2, and that came with Tekken Tag Tournament, and I was just like, that did me fine for months. Like, I was playing Tekken all the way. But
Yeah.
I mean, we've got massive sort of like chunk of games coming out, and this sort of, we thought, we'd
Sweet.
reappear. And,
Yeah, I think it's going to continue for a while because I mean, a lot of things that were supposed to be released during that dry period of like late September, October time got pushed back to February. Like,
Yeah.
it's happened with a lot of films and games this year. Like, everything that's due
Yeah.
September, October has been pushed back. So
I mean,
maybe they're trying to capitalize on the fact that nobody's going to release in February. I don't
I
know.
think in the time since we've gone, they've pushed back The Crew.
Yeah, that's been pushed back.
Battlefield Hardline's been pushed back.
Yeah. I know Evolve's been pushed back.
Evolve's been pushed back. I played the alpha for that.
Me
I'll give
too.
you I didn't enjoy it.
I did.
I didn't really enjoy it at all.
What
I didn't.
else
I spent
was there?
10 minutes looking for the monster. He saw me. I died. Game over. It was just.
You suck. That's your problem.
But it was just like I feel like they know what they need to add in. It's just that element of suspense more than anything when you're not
I was like
the monster.
constantly. Oh Jesus Christ! The monster is fucking difficult to play as.
Yeah, and
Really
I've
difficult.
seen it being played. I've never actually played as a monster because I wanted to play as the team
Yeah.
to see what the team play was like on it. And I didn't really enjoy it, but it was. I think it was because when I think of that thing where it's like monsters versus like human sort of thing, I think like a horror thing.
Yeah.
And when I think of like Alien Isolation idea, but with a human-controlled monster as opposed
Yeah.
to the alien that changes. But I didn't really
I
get
don't-
into it as
I
much.
don't see how they'll ever manage to make that a competitive esports.
They probably
Do they
don't
plan
want
on
to.
doing that?
Yeah, they wanted that release was. They wanted it to be a competitive esport in that genre, but I don't see how that's possible.
It's not got. I don't know.
I think-
Depends what they add later on in terms of
As an
DLC
alpha,
and
at
extra
least.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, as an alpha, like just going from what they have in. I don't know if it could be played particularly competitively, but it's definitely shaping up to be solid. Like, it was a lot more enjoyable than I thought. The learning curve as a monster is a fucking
Ridiculous.
brick wall compared to the
Because you
humans.
have to eat things to get the experience,
Yeah.
to get the point to put on the thing.
You got to
and-
fucking not get shot
Yeah.
because as soon as they've got their first mobile arena, you're lucky if you survive that first one.
Yeah.
Like, the first match as a monster, I got destroyed. The second one, I kind of knew what I was doing. The third one, I was like, okay, I got this now.
Yeah.
Whereas humans, I was playing with one randomer on my team and then 2 other people I knew.
Alright.
So 3 out of 4 of us all coordinating. We basically left the damage guy to the randomer and all played the more supporty type things. And
Yeah.
it's not too difficult as long as you can keep on the monster's arse, like, as soon as you get in the map.
That might have been my problem because I think that like I was sort of like following where because obviously you're looking for the monster,
Yeah.
so you're going you follow like birds have flown off over here,
Yeah.
or you follow the footsteps on the floor, and I'd look around and the other guys are just over there somewhere. I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so we were running around as a group, and I was playing the medic, who also has a tranquilizer thing that marks the monster so you can see it through walls and slows it for a few seconds,
Yeah.
and a sniper, which I think slows it and gives it weak points.
Hmm.
And we had the trapper and the other guy, the support who does like shielding and stuff
Yeah.
like that, in as part of our group pretty regularly. So it was fairly easy to coordinate the trapping, and then we just had to rely on the other randomer. Because we were going as a free, he would just sort of tag along with us.
Yeah.
And because I was the guy with the trank gun that slows it, I was constantly out the front, jetpacking around, following this fucker around the map. So
Yeah.
it just kind of depends who you end up with. But it's definitely, as a human, it's definitely a lot more difficult if you're not playing with friends. Which is why I think I'm only going to get it if I know a couple of other people that grab it.
Well, if there's a beta, I'll try and get into that and play it a bit more because I'm
Mm.
sure they would have tweaked it by then. They've started announcing some new things already.
Yeah.
But they're not. Is there not going to be another alpha?
Well, it's meant to come out in like February, March time. I think,
Yeah,
now,
I
so
think they might have
they-
like
They
a,
might be able to throw one in.
they'll
for-
throw a beta, I reckon.
they,
I
they
think
might
the
do what
alpha
the
was-
crew did and delay it and say there's another alpha.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, delays have been pretty big. I mean, the Division's been delayed indefinitely now.
Oh, the next Arkham game got delayed as well, didn't
To
it? From
June.
about October. Jesus,
From-
yeah,
yeah,
that's nearly a year.
It's like June 21st next year now.
They completely
It was meant to be
overestimated
released
that.
for the 75 anniversary, Century 5 of yes, the Century.
one.
Fucking hell.
75th
Andreas'
75th
anniversary.
anniversary of Batman, and
Yeah.
so they were but they just delayed it into June, so now it's just a random date.
Yeah.
Not sure why that is. I've had the pre-order down since like October last year, so I mean, I'll give that when I get it.
Yeah.
When is the movie coming out? Maybe they want to Think about.
They did delay that. That was meant to come out around June, wasn't it? With the Avengers film.
Is it Avengers?
It was. I think it was Avengers Age
I
of
thought that was
Ultron.
lined up for 2016 with Captain America 3.
Oh yeah, no, that was
It
pretty
is.
good. That's true.
Because they're having this whole face off as who's going to budge their movie date
Yeah.
first.
Right.
And of
then-
course, Marvel didn't fucking move it, so DC will move it out a few days.
Yeah,
or something.
I think that. To be honest, I think the way that Marvel do their thing now is too much of a juggernaut. Now
Yeah.
DC are trying to build that thing. Avengers, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is already there to
Yeah.
a point where the next phase is now everything. Like everything.
Yeah.
Like Inhumans is coming out. Guardians of the Galaxy is now getting a bigger thing. They're
Mm.
going to be a big part of the Infinity War. They've got like Captain Marvel, Black
Yeah.
Panther. They've got so much going on.
Yeah,
They've
whereas DC, because they haven't had the slow build, they're trying to get in on this. When Marvel's already like top dog of this,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, they're revealing stuff that basically the next thing. It's not just Batman and Superman. It's gonna have Wonder Woman. Also, probably this guy. It's just like, yeah, Marvel spent like several years building this up.
Yeah. And you're
Not
just trying
gonna
to
work.
shoehorn people
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
there.
But then you say that, but I think if they can produce a decent Batman versus Superman movie, I think that alone will propel them, and like they'll be in the same league.
But no, I
No
don't.
way.
I don't think because
I don't
if
think they need to do
The same League of Justice, maybe.
20 movies to catch up to Marvel.
But they don't have.
Because Batman and Superman, those are the biggest superheroes.
Yeah, but apart from Batman and Superman, right, and maybe Wonder Woman, anybody who's not a fan of books, get them to name a DC character.
Yeah.
The issue is that you're right. They don't need 20 movies to catch up to Marvel, but Marvel has spent the last 5 to 10 years laying down a proper solid
Yeah.
foundation. Where were DC?
Well, the
when
first
Marvel were
Iron
doing
Man
that?
film was what, like 08, was it?
Yeah,
Well,
like
they-
where
They've solidly had like 2 movies a year,
Well,
and both movies have been
If
about
not
like
more.
a different character.
where were DC while Marvel were doing that? Oh, they
Yeah.
was busy making Batman
Batman.
films.
Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, that trilogy was good, and I think. But the thing is, now everybody's trying to do that whole cinematic universe thing. Like Sony are trying to do Spider-Man. They're doing the Sinister
Then they
Six.
delay that.
They're
Well,
doing Venom, and now
Aunt
they've
May,
just,
apparently.
they've just announced they're doing an
What
Aunt
the
May
fuck?
movie.
What?
Yeah, it's like
No
how-
I
Spider-Man,
think they've
just
gone
Aunt May.
insane.
yeah, and it's just like they're doing everything in their power to.
It's like their shitty answer to Agent Carter or something. It's like,
Yeah.
we're going to do, what's a female character? Aunt May! And everyone's like, what?
Sorry.
Like, how much drugs? All of the drugs? More
How
than
many
all
drugs,
of the
sir? Yeah, Iron Man 2008. So it's been 6
Yeah.
years that they've been going on with that. And it's just like, they've had
And
that,
what? So that was about 4 years until the first Avengers. So that was 4 years building up those characters.
So Iron Man,
and then-
Iron Man 2, they had Captain America, Thor,
Yeah.
they had
So they had
the two
intro,
Hulk
and then if you
films.
think about it, in that like ensemble cast, they introduced the kind of new ones of Hawkeye and Black Widow. She'd been in Iron Man 2 a bit, but
Yeah.
Hawkeye had been in Thor for like 10 seconds, going, I might arrow him, no, I'm not going to arrow him. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay. So like they're just introducing 2 new ones, which is kind of similar with what they're doing with Avengers 2, where they're introducing Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah.
So again, 2 new people.
Yeah.
Whereas DC are just kind of going, this is Batman vs Superman, and also Wonder Woman, and probably like Green
Aquaman.
Lantern and Aquaman, and this and
Jason
that.
Momoa
and-
as Aquaman.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
gonna work. That'll
No,
work.
no, it's not.
It will,
Not even
it'll
in the
work.
But
slightest.
the film
mate.
isn't going to work because it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you kind of rush that thing, like the films
I don't
after
see them
that,
rushing. I don't.
no, it's going.
I don't see
It
them
is
rushing
rushing
it.
it.
They are rushing
delayed
it.
Batman
delayed
versus
it
Superman
6
by
months,
6
though.
months.
Yeah, but that's
That's
still
probably
like.
for the effects.
But it's
because
just like the Avengers film has come out to a point now where not only have they got the Avengers and they've got Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch in there, but I don't know if you noticed in the original release trailer, but Andy Serkis is in there.
yeah, he's supposed to be a
He's-
villain for Black Panther. Or
Yeah,
something,
exactly.
apparently.
He was a villain for Black Panther,
Yeah.
which they were teasing was going to happen anyway, and now he's sort of fallen
Yeah.
into a film. And it's just like not only are they building these films, they're actually linking these worlds indirectly, as opposed to apparently Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has a character coming in where they are teasing the Punisher now
Ooh,
as a character.
that'd be interesting.
But
I wouldn't
they
mind seeing the Punisher.
But
back.
they reckon it will be like a Netflix series. Type
Yeah, well, they've
idea.
got like Daredevil and stuff.
Yeah, they've got
coming
Daredevil
up.
happening. They've got. I know Constantine is a DC comic book character.
That's another thing
but-
which doesn't make sense is Marvel's got their TV show and now 2 with Agent Carter coming out soon
Yeah.
that they're keeping with part of their expanded universe, which is clever for a slightly different audience, maybe to get them into the films. Whereas, what is it? DC have Flash and Arrow and
Gotham.
Gotham, but they're not linked. So it's like,
And
what's the point?
apparently, Flash is going to make an appearance in the cinematic universe, but it's not going to be the same Flash. It's gonna be a different person.
Yeah, so it's just like
I wouldn't
I
want
think-
it. I wouldn't want it
it
to be the
seems
same
so
person.
half-assed.
I quite enjoy that fact that I think DC have got a hold on the TV side of things.
Yeah.
I think with Arrow and Flash, even if they're not totally linked, I think they've really got a hold on that situation. Like that's their thing where Marvel has their films. And I think that, to be honest, I think there could be a bit more money in that when you think about it, because people view that. People have to buy the rights to put that on their channel. People buy the DVDs when they come out anyway, and it's just like there's.
Well, you
sort
say
of
there's more
rolling.
money in it though, but the insane amount of money the Marvel films are raking in.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is now the second highest grossing film this year,
Yeah.
and behind Transformers.
Oh,
Somehow
God.
Transformers made money.
Yeah, it made something like $2 billion or something.
I think
That's
didn't
what it's
Michael
gonna make,
Bay?
like,
This is like now like the movie
2
cast or
cents.
something, but
I
didn't
think
Michael Bay say he's stepping away from the next
Yeah.
Transformers? He
Less-
just like even
that
he doesn't
true?
want to do it.
75% less explosions in the next Transformers
Yeah.
film.
Wow.
According
No,
to
it
they should
wasn't
get J.J.
exactly
Abrams to do it. Just
Lens
instead of
flares, the
explosions,
shiniest robots you've
they
ever
should.
seen.
They should do like a crossover where it's just like.
Well, he's kind of busy
explosions
doing
and lens
Star
flares.
Wars and stuff.
Yeah, you know what? He stepped away from Star Trek, and yeah,
Yeah.
and they announced a new subtitle for Star Trek as well now, which is the Jedi something or other.
The Force
What?
Awakens.
The Force
and you mean
Awakens.
Star Wars, not Star Trek.
Yeah, I was
Fuck
like,
off, it's been a long
Jedi,
day.
Star Trek. What's
Yeah, they're doing a crossover.
Yeah.
I love
May,
how
may the Force be with you.
I love
like-
how we moved from.
Yeah, the Vulcan.
says the
yeah.
Vulcan.
I
with
love
his
how we moved
logic.
from game releases
Anyway, yeah.
to a 15-minute conversation.
This is why
about
when I
DC
was talking
versus
about the
Marvel.
podcast to Mass was like, what are the topics? And I texted him, I was like, it's this, and this, and our usual bullshit where we go completely
Well,
Yeah.
off
this is part of the
Yeah.
usual
Yeah.
bullshit.
Pretty much, yeah.
Otherwise,
I mean,
we wouldn't make the hour.
There was an
Yeah.
agenda. I mean,
Yeah.
we've gone pretty much the furthest away. We're on a different medium
Yeah.
now. But I mean, anybody read any good books lately? It's just, but yeah.
What's
So
a book?
coming back to the sort of game things though, is that I think that a lot of the games that are coming out recently have been very rushed.
Yes.
I think, yeah. I mean, I'm
They're
sure a lot
like,
of
everyone's
people-
complaining, there's nothing on the consoles, put this shit out.
Yeah.
I mean, but at least, you know, out of the 2 or 3 big releases over the last week, at least Call of Duty, surprisingly, is the one that works the most.
No, but see, Call of Duty doesn't need to be surprisingly the one that works the most because they don't need to do much with it. They just kind of put
Yeah.
a new skin on it,
The thing
add
is,
some little bits to it. and
they've
then-
actually done stuff with it.
yeah, like painted space.
Not really. Like, it's
Space
actually,
Gray.
you know, like I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Wayne
bought
bought
it
the
just-
game.
I bought it just to play with some people from work.
How much different can it be from the previous ones?
Left trigger to aim, right trigger to shoot. It's done.
Oh, okay, you can say that about Halo and any other.
It's not left
shooter.
trigger to aim though. Oh,
Okay, it can be left trigger to aim.
Yeah, they added something called fish stick.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah. That fucking joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, it's weird how everyone was getting ready to, oh, it's another Call of Duty, let's bash it, and there's another Assassin's Creed, and Halo's being released. And it's like, Halo's got those server problems.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, which we'll probably come back to later, is spectacularly fucked in
Yeah.
every sense of just does not work. And Call of Duty came out, and everyone's like, oh, it works. That's a surprise. And it's like, actually, this is right. Like, they've tried to do some minor improvements.
I think because there's a new team working on that one that they've tried to
Was
do
it
something.
Sledgehammer? Yeah.
They used to do the multiplayer for the Treyarch game, I think. No, they did it for Infinity Ward after those 2 guys sued them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they left and sued them, and then they got Sledgehammer to win the multiplayer for the 3, I
Yeah.
think it was, which was a spectacular fuck up. So I was very, very worried when they said that they were making a. I mean, a lot of people I'll probably get a lot of hate if this eventually gets listened to by more than
I
5
about
people.
COD fanboys.
Yeah, but it's just like, but I really think that after playing, I remember playing Modern Warfare 3. I think you had it, didn't you, Wayne?
Yeah, Modern Warfare 3 was.
It had the weirdest sort of feel to it. It felt like all the guns had 100% more recoil than necessarily had to. If you
Yeah.
shot, you were looking upwards by the end of it, sort of thing.
You know what? With
That
Modern
sounds like
Warfare
the Thompson
3,
in COD 2.
With Modern Warfare 3, they had some great ideas.
Yeah.
But the game itself sucks.
But Call of Duty is just that, though. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not that it sucks, but it's like it is great ideas. Just I feel like the fact that they continuously have like an overlap of people producing the game, they
Yeah.
can't really innovate those things properly. I know I've mentioned it before on the podcast. I don't really feel like I've seen anything substantial happen to it. Those exosuits have come in because Titanfall.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that they've come into play,
Hmm.
they don't feel forced. It feels like the game feels great with them.
Yeah,
and that's the difference. A lot of this content, because like you said, it's overlapping year by year by year.
Yeah.
Some of it, sometimes it just feel like it's been forced into the game. The game feels clunky and shit. This game is so smooth. Like, and I'm not, you know yourself, I'm not saying that as a Halo fan, as a Call of Duty fanboy.
It's been one of those days.
I am a Halo fanboy, not a Call of Duty fanboy. Yeah, you know, like I'm not a Call of Duty fanboy. I stopped playing the games because I got bored because it sucked. And now I thought I'd try this one out. And this one it's so smooth. It is genuine. The only issue I have is because there's still no dedicated servers like ever because it's Activision and that requires spending money.
Because Activision Blizzard doesn't have money or
the
anything.
lag is real sometimes, but
Well, they just spent $1 billion on Destiny. We'll come back to that later.
yeah, the lag is real sometimes. But like the game itself, the exosuits, for whatever reason they've come in, and they make the game something that actually feels like, okay, this is actually worth playing now.
Yeah, I think that's the Titanfall effect. Like, it's same with what Halo did with the original Xbox, like what Call of Duty did with the next generation. What Titanfall's done now is the games, to me personally, I don't really like Titanfall, but I think it's come in and it's shaken it up a little bit because they put in the Titans in there, and everyone's just like, okay, go, like parkour, Titans, thing like that, and everyone's just like, fuck.
Yeah, it's kind of
now. Like,
some verticality that some first-person shooters have tried before with multiplayer, like Brink and stuff, but they didn't really take off, and for whatever reason, the rest of the game wasn't as good.
The amusement of using the word take off and talking about verticality.
Didn't even notice, Jesus Christ.
But it's just like the exos in Call of Duty, like if you've seen the Halo 5 trailer where they've got like parkour sort of thing going on, and they've had to start doing the aim down sights thing, but it's not quite the same. They've adapted it, but they've also got ground pound, they've got thrusters and that sort of thing. And so I feel like even though Titanfall wasn't a great game, it's definitely paved the way for a new set of games to come through.
It's kind of like
changing.
The Titanfall of the FPS world right now is like what the Wii was for motion controls.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't
Except everybody else did it shitter, where everybody else is doing an okay job so far.
Yeah,
with free running stuff.
Saw a magazine, an Xbox magazine, the other day with the subtitle, the front page subtitle, "R.I.P. Connect," and I was like, well, just like, god damn it. But like, I mean, there are still a few games coming out for it, but they never should have sold that with the Xbox in the first place. I mean, didn't think. I mean, I actually sort of wanted a Connect with the Xbox 360 for like, after a few beverages, have a laugh with the guys sort of thing, and it'll be a good laugh. So that's why I was happy to get the Xbox One with the Connect.
Yeah.
But I still think that selling it as a thing was a problem. I think
I agree. I do agree.
I think give people the option, I think more people will adopt. But I think
I was actually really happy that when I ended up getting my Xbox, I was able to buy it without the Connect.
Yeah,
because
and it's £100 cheaper as well.
And I have absolutely zero use for the Connect.
Mine, like the few times I've used my Xbox, my Connect is just unplugged because I couldn't fucking set it up. I've got nowhere decent to put it because it's such a fat bit of gear that it won't hold on to my TV. My TV's like a bit too thin, so it's just like, well, I'll just leave it unplugged. I don't need it for anything.
No,
I'd rather just double tap my Xbox button to have all the Connect controls.
Yeah, but they've only put that in since they've taken the Xbox out. The Connect out.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just like, I feel like now they've taken reliance off of that. That they've actually utilised it in a decent way. They've given us different options. Like
it's now a preference rather than a necessity.
You can now double tap and press X to record the last 30 seconds instead of shouting Xbox record that.
And you can
because the amount of times I've shouted that and it has not recognised it.
And you can double tap the Xbox button and then you can push right to snap any of the snappable apps on your Xbox, like party, friends, messages.
Yeah.
Double tap it and then push left, and then you can still have your messages on the right side while you're playing the game.
Yeah.
And if you go back to your messages while you're reading them, all you got to do is double tap the Xbox button again and push right, and all of a sudden you're back on your messages.
Yeah.
One thing I wish they'd, you can actually also, oh no, they've done it, so you got the thing now. But you used to be able to just double tap and it'll switch between the two. But obviously you got to do it to get the thing. But one thing I wish they do, if they haven't already, because to be honest I haven't really looked, is with Twitch. You should be able to play the game and have like a chat down the side.
You can.
Yeah.
You can.
It's there.
All right.
It's a snap.
You can snap
like
the Twitch.
Twitch.
I don't, because when I snap Twitch, it would just have start broadcast, stop broadcast, cancel.
Oh, once you've actually got the broadcast, you've got at the very, very top right, in like a tiny. You know how big the snap window is, so you've got to imagine.
Small.
Well, no, but I mean, in considering the fact now that you've got your actual stream, you've got your stream at the top right. It's tiny, but that's there. It's more or less so you can see that it's actually working, and then you've got the entire Twitch chat on the right side as well.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
I don't use it myself because I've got my PC right next to my Xbox, and I just use that. but it is there as an option, which is kind of cool.
Still need to test that for the big Resident Evil thing that we were going to be doing.
Yes, and
That's
possibly
in January.
possibly Forza.
Possibly Forza.
We should definitely do some.
We're planning. I don't know if we told you about this, guys,
Think
but we were
so,
planning
yeah.
to do Forza. You can get random liveries for your car, so you can get like custom things, and you can get like a Ford Transit with the RAC logo on the side of it and shit like that.
Yeah, we're
Gonna do like
DHL versus post office.
Yeah, and we also had like the two worst cars in the game facing off against each other.
Yeah.
First as stock, and then try and pump them up as far as you can to like their fastest thing. But I managed to find a Volkswagen camper van that was worse than both of the worst cars in the game since that point.
So that can be the camera car. Give
Yeah.
it 10 minutes head
But
start.
with like Halo and other stuff, that's sort of got forgotten about. But
No,
we can
still do that. I mean,
we should get on that shit,
yeah.
Get on it.
and that'll be.
It's alright. The multiplayer on Halo doesn't even work, so
Yeah.
we've got spare time anyway.
Got
mean-
time to prepare.
Yeah, I mean, the Halo multiplayer is just the first on the list of major fuck ups that happened with Xbox
Yeah.
Live this week, I think. Because, I mean, that pretty much broke it. Actually, I read online that at one point the friends list wasn't even working. Like, you could get
Wow.
online, you could look at the store. It would take a while to load, but you couldn't look at your friends. At one point, that happened a few weeks ago as well.
It did, yeah. I
Like,
was
the
gonna
friends
say.
list just stopped working. Like, nobody can get onto their friends
The
list.
friends list, the party, like basically Xbox Live just stopped
Yeah,
working.
but without your friends list, you can't start a party because you
Yeah,
can't
so
invite
like
your
all the
friends.
social.
Yeah, all the
Oh.
social sort of things.
But
just,
even if
just
you like,
died.
even if you went onto party, you didn't get the start new party option. You got the error saying that you couldn't access party. Like nothing was working.
Okay.
Because I tried that. I was like, okay, I can't see my friends. Maybe I can go through it via party instead. Nope. Like nothing worked.
Also, grats to people who bought Halo and took a day off work to play it. Spent 7 hours trying to install the damn thing.
Yeah. Poor fuckers.
Yeah, because I know someone who bought it and they started installing it and their internet isn't the fastest and it has a 15 gigabyte day one download and
Ouch.
they didn't get to play it until the next day. And
Yeah,
Well,
when it was
hashtag
time for
worth.
work,
Hashtag worth.
I myself have 100 megabyte download speeds. But
yeah, so do
even
I.
with that, I started installing it when I got home from work at about.
It was
let's say
7 o'clock when you picked up from mine. But it was 6:30 when you picked up from mine.
Yeah, I put.
You got
Let's
him at
say I put it on at 7 o'clock. It didn't finish installing properly until about 11:30.
Yeah.
That's 4.5 hours on a 100 megabyte connection. Because
Only took
mostly
2.
because of how many people was trying to download it. Still, even in
Yeah,
the evening.
in the evening there'll be another like sort of shot of people doing it.
Yeah, like everyone in the country getting home from work. Like
It's just
download
like why,
this.
and all that just to avoid having a second disc to install it. Just put the second disc on the damn thing.
That said,
I would have much preferred to have like a multiple layer DVD disc that may have had that like a small install on it and the rest of it on the disc.
I would rather not switch between discs. Like, it's inconvenient at first because, especially with all the hype and the fact that everyone like, I just wanted to jump into the game and start playing it. However, now that it's done, I'm actually glad that they did it that way. Now that it's all finished.
But Halo 4 was 2 discs as well, but you only needed 1 disc. The first disc was to play the game. The second disc was just the install of the multiplayer.
Yeah.
They could have done that, I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean,
But hey, it's more costly
Was
for
it?
them to do it.
Is that what it was? Just the cost issue?
I don't know. Probably.
it would have cost them an extra £5 to put it on a second disc, because those Blu-ray discs are like 45 gigabytes.
You know how these companies are. If it saves them pennies, they'll go for it.
Yeah, but then they just put it on a central server and then it explodes.
Mm.
I mean, there's like a
Yeah, but
Baking-
at that point, it's not really inconvenience them; it's inconvenience you, and you've already bought it, so they probably don't care.
Speaking
as
of
well.
speaking of Halo servers, the fact that how long has it been out for now? Is this like
3 days. It's Thursday, so it's day 3.
day 3, and the fact that the servers still aren't working?
I've played a grand total of 2 multiplayer games.
Yeah, I've played a grand
Get
total of
in.
maybe 3 or 4.
We tried to play before we started the podcast and it just wouldn't connect.
Yeah,
to the
they
person at all.
announced about 13 hours ago now that they deployed a patch to fix it for most people. However, as of right now, on Thursday, the 13th of November at 9:05, it's still
Wait,
not
stop
working.
dating the podcast, you prick.
Tell you dating the podcast. It's
Oh, you
still-
already
She's
said
not
it in 3
interested.
days.
It's still not working, so they lied to us.
Yeah, well
It
played.
probably has been fixed somewhat, but then they get more people on it, and it's
It
not
makes me
going
wonder if like they've done it, if they've said something like that because they know that like for the people it doesn't work for, they probably won't question it. However, everybody just doesn't have it working, and they think that other people have it working.
Yeah, but like, how many games have done that now, though? started, and then the multiplayer has just destroyed itself.
Well,
Like with GTA 5. Do you not remember GTA 5 fiasco?
That had some really bad
when
issues
it
at
released the online, within the first 10 minutes, the servers were gone. They were shot, completely gone. And then there was another one that came out where they bought it, and they were like, there was a thing on there, started like one of their Facebook things, and it was like, sorry, servers may or may not be on fire through overusage. They've overheated completely. We'll get back to you in a little while. It was the Halo Reach beta. Too many people tried to download that at once, and apparently the one of the servers set on fire.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it's just like, how
is this like a standard now that we just have to expect from all big releases, that the servers are just going to be completely wrecked in the first few days?
Day one patches and day one downloads and fixes are becoming way more common, but it's not got too bad yet. I think it's just with really big AAA popular things that are getting the, oh, by the way, the servers don't work. Sorry about that.
I know that Destiny servers are still messed up. But I'm thinking that's
down for maintenance today.
I'm pretty sure that Destiny's messed up to a point because it's Activision and they don't like spending money on fixing things.
Destiny's fucked up because nobody wants to play it anymore.
Yeah.
I have actually just completely boycott Destiny now. I've checked out completely.
I actually loved that game, and I still love that game. I think it's such a great game. The way it feels and plays is amazing.
It's a good game.
However, DLC £20 for getting nothing.
Yeah.
Hell
let's move on to this.
Yeah, let's move on to this one. I suppose this was next on our agenda.
It just come up.
Yeah, it just sort of appeared, but it's just like
a wrecking ball.
Fuck you, Wayne. It's like the expansion pass is 2 expansions for £35, and it gives you, the first one gets you 3 missions, a strike, and a raid.
Do you get any DLC maps?
Oh, you get 3 extra multiplayer maps.
Okay, so for scrubs like me and Mass who haven't played Destiny, how much content is that roughly?
Right, a story mission is about 10-15 minutes at maximum, at most, on a hard level if you're a good level sort of going.
They did say they were going to be harder and longer.
Didn't they? Didn't they say that they were going to include raising the level cap?
Yeah,
from 30 to 32. That's 2 levels.
That's less than fucking Fallout, doesn't it?
Yeah, Fallout did 10 levels. Yeah. Borderlands did 11 because why not? But in both of their updates. But it's just like, you pay 20 quid for, in fairness, £10 I can understand to a point.
Yeah.
Because you're getting 3 story missions, which are saying are going to be longer than the others, and they do branch off from one of the missions that actually happened. It's the Sword of Crota mission, and then it's actually Crota is like this god thing, and you basically you find out about him, you have to stop him. No, you have to find out about him, you have to find him, you have to stop him, and then the strike is something to do with attacking his base, and then the raid itself is actually fighting him.
Okay.
So it's all to do with this guy.
Yeah.
And it's those, so like a raid takes say about an hour and a half, 2 hours for a skilled player.
Initially, the raids, well, actually for a skilled player, the current raids is about 45 minutes. But initially,
humble bragging.
Initially,
just every 4 or 5 minutes.
Initially, the first raid took about 10 to 12 hours for most people to do it the first time, and then the second time it was done like 2 hours, and then like an hour, or maybe some people were still like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
So basically, we're talking like a couple of hours content.
A couple of hours. So you've got each mission,
and then
initial like provided the raids, people struggle with the raid as much as they did the first one, which I don't know if they will. I'm gonna say about 6 to 7 hours for the first time completion of the raids. And then the first strike, 30 minutes at most. But the mission's an hour at most.
Do you reckon that's worth the £20?
Hell no.
Because I want to put it in. I always put it to people in context like this, right? The expansion pass for Destiny is £35 and comes with 2 expansions. I'm guessing they're going to be similar in content.
Yeah.
Right. Borderlands, the pre-sequel came out, £24 for the season pass, and it comes with new character class. 3 new and another 3 expansions that they haven't announced yet. Yeah. Now, from experience, the season passes for Borderlands, I think Borderlands 2 one was £30 and it came with 4 expansions, but the 4 expansions were something like 4, 5, 6 hour expansions each.
They have a lot of stuff.
And for £30, you get something like an extra day's worth of content. And then at one point, they were just like, "Oh, by the way, there's a new. We're releasing a True Vault, the Ultimate Vault Hunter pack, the first one. That's part of the season pass as well. Why not? Just like
they just threw it in there, extra content.
And then they released last 4 or 5 new headhunter packs. They did the extra things for.
Well, they
seasonal.
released the Psycho.
They released the Psycho.
Psycho
is separate.
Psycho is separate.
And
But that was
Necromancer as well.
the Necromancer was part of the season pass. If
Yeah,
you
it
got the
was.
season pass, you got the Necromancer as part of the deal, basically.
Mm.
But it was like, the Psycho was 400 points at the time, which I think equates to about 350. About 350.
I think on PC I remember it being about 4 or 5 quid.
Yeah, I think I ended up buying it all when it was on sale, and like all the skins were 20
They're
odd p.
cheap.
Yeah.
But then they released the headhunter packs after that as a separate thing, which is an extra 2 hours of content
Yeah.
for £2.79. Yeah, £2.79 each for 2 hours of content.
I guess comparing it to something like Borderlands, yeah, we're getting gypped. However, when you think, right, Call of Duty, Halo even as well, first person shooters in general, for free maps you're looking at paying £10 to £15.
Yeah, Halo 3 did a 4 or 5 map thing, and it was 800 points.
Call of
And
Duty
that was
tends to do free maps for £15. Halo does map packs. Maybe it's a bit better value for money, but either way, they're still quite expensive. And then when you think with Destiny, you're getting these free maps, and then you're getting 3 missions, a raid, and a strike, or 2 strikes if you're on PlayStation.
Which I think is bullshit for the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause,
PlayStation gets a bit extra, don't they?
Yeah.
But for that, for £20, essentially, when you compare it to something like Call of Duty, which is widely more acceptable, even though I know that some people don't, there are people that hate the game, but like generally, people will still accept free maps for £15 is okay, whether they hate the game or not. It doesn't. You never get people saying that's bad value for money. You get people saying Call of Duty is bad value for money. That's a whole other thing, though. When you look at it like that, you're getting the free maps for £15, and then the extra PVE stuff for £5. When you look at it that way, it's not as bad, and it's more acceptable all of a sudden.
Yeah, but it was for that reason that I didn't get the extra. The only reason I got the first 3 map packs for Halo 4 was because I bought the special edition version. And with that, I got the map pack pass, which came with like 3 things. And then there was another one, which was like the championship one, which came with 5 maps, some extra armor things, and like.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it wasn't enough there to make me buy it.
Yeah,
sort of
like-
thing.
I completely get that.
So-
From a personal perspective,
It's a bit.
it's a bit
okay.
iffy.
It all
But-
depends on what you think you're going to get out of it.
But from a wider perspective, though, from a wider viewpoint, it is much more socially acceptable. And then, like, whenever people bring this thing up with Destiny, I feel like they may be forgetting the whole PvP side of it being in the expansion, because it's okay for Call of Duty to do 3 maps for £15, and whether you like the games or not, it's widely acceptable that that's okay.
Yeah.
But Destiny do that plus a bunch of PvE content for £20, and all of a sudden everyone's up in arms about it.
I mean, I suppose we can take this back, I'd say 10 years, to Oblivion, and the difference between the Shivering Isles and then the horse armor.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the Shivering Isles was something like £10, and it was an entire new island
I
with
think it was
new.
about £15.
It was £15, and it was a new island.
a
with new
whole
missions.
expansion,
It was a
wasn't
whole
it?
expansion
Yeah.
in a different
Amazing.
place, and it was filled with new, like 100 or so new quests.
I'm going to say at
probably
least-
not that
I'm
many.
going
Yeah.
to say like probably over a day's worth of content.
Exactly, and there was a lot there. There was a lot of things to do
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And
They've sort of continued that, really, like with all their
Yeah.
games. The Skyrim had the iffy like house
Hearthstone,
building
yeah.
thing
Which I
Hearthstone
bought. I
is
actually kinda
the-
liked it.
card game.
Hearthfire.
Hearthfire,
Hearthfire
I think,
and Dragonborn.
Dragonborn was good.
I still haven't played that, but I've heard it's
to be
good.
honest, I played about 3 hours of
Yeah.
Oblivion. But for like content-wise,
Mm.
you look at Bethesda for things like.
Yeah, the only fuck up they've really done is the horse armor.
Yeah.
After that, they were like, okay,
I
let's
quite
not
like-
take the piss.
I quite like what they've done with the Evil Within as well. There's their season pass is £14,
Mm.
and it comes with 2. They claim 2 hour-and-a-half to 2 hour expansions where you play as the partner of the main character,
Yeah.
like they're the cop partner type thing, and you go off somewhere else and you do a different sort of side mission.
Okay.
And then the third one is you play as that you know, the guy on the front, the box head guy.
Yeah.
You play as him doing challenge maps.
Okay.
And so basically, it's just like, well, we've got no more downloadable content, part of the story. So now just be the bad guy, ruin it, and just like
Yeah.
ruin the thing. It's not so much obviously I say ruining it, but it's just like take away the horror. You're the
Yeah.
bad guy, just fuck things up, sort of thing. And I quite like that idea. That first of all, that is a good idea to end it. There's challenge maps where you're the bad guy. Second of all, it's £14 for the season pass, and you're just like, that's not so bad. I mean, I feel like that's a good deal.
Yeah, I think generally, like, especially because in terms of shooters and stuff, I will play them fairly casually. What I would tend to do is, like with Titanfall, I happily play that on and off, and we sort of picked it up again a bit lately.
Yeah.
But like, I haven't bought any of the DLC. I don't give a fuck about the DLC.
I only got
the amount of maps. Yeah, you got it because you're a Mexican or something. You made Origin think you're a
Mexico
Mexican.
and Cetos.
Andreas is like what? But yeah, we have to tell you Wayne's Mexican, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, but also bitch. Yeah, so like I didn't buy any of that. I still happily play those maps because I'm used to those maps. There's a decent circulation of maps in the game. I don't feel the need to buy them. Back when I used to play Call of Duty a bit, didn't buy any DLC for that. The only things I tend to buy DLC for are things like Skyrim or Fallout, where it's story based and it provides hours of content, because those games I know I will get completely lost in whatever the fuck they give me.
Yeah.
So what was it? When I was playing New Vegas, I did I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. World Blues. World Blues.
Yeah.
Fucking great expansion. Took ages, some of the shit they get you to do. I did like every single quest. I spent hours on that thing. I probably played as much of that as I have the vanilla game.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Then. So I think the main, to bring it back to Destiny a little bit, I think the main issue is, well, especially for us, is, well, I don't know, like, yeah, especially for us, I should say, is that we're comparing it to all these PvE, these normal games against AI, PvE games, RPGs, and the sort of the game time value, the game time play for competitive value is just not there.
Yeah.
However, then if we then went to people that were very hard into PvP games, i.e. Call of Duty, Titanfall, Halo,
Battlefield.
You look
at the premium for Battlefield, that's £14. That's another game on top.
All of a sudden, like, are we thinking then, okay, so for PvP use, Destiny players that like are heavily into the PvP sides, maybe the value for money is there for them because they're used to spending that sort of money on map packs. But then for the PvE sides, it's the value for money just isn't really there in general because the game just lacks a lot of content.
But I think we've had this discussion before where it's just like a lot of people aren't both. They're either PvP or PvE.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish they'd not so much keep the expansion separate, but like keep it so that there's a pack that more appeals to PvE and it's cheaper, and there's one more for the other side and it's a little bit cheaper for them. Not cramming them together and charging.
Or maybe like you can get both together at like a quid discount or something like
that. I'd much prefer that, because when you think about it, if they were say, it's £14 for 3 missions, a strike and a raid, or the 2 strikes and the raid, right? Yeah. I'd be a bit more like, that's not as bad. It's still not great, but there's some content there. And then at the other side, it was just like, do you want this map pack? £10. Yeah. And it's just like, that's not so bad. Put it together. If you want both together, then it's £20.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, again with the.
Just because it kind of feels like you're paying for the content you're not going to play and you don't really want if you don't play one or the other.
I didn't really enjoy the Crucible on Destiny as much as I probably should have, because it was the way it played was very Halo-esque. Like the game plays, it feels like Bungie have just made the next Halo type game, and I really loved it. I thought that Destiny itself could have been the next sort of Halo game.
Yeah.
I just feel like Activision have gone expansions. Let's add a £10 extra and £10 premium to this sort of thing. And what I think will happen is a lot of people are going to get turned off by that. And from that point,
they have been already.
Exactly.
Like,
well, you look at it, like the 2 people that have Destiny have already sort of checked out because that £20 is too much to continue on the story. Also, bearing in mind that the story didn't really end with the base game. The story was just like, you go to the Black Garden and it was an end.
There was no the story was weak.
The story is weak. Peter Dinklage is kind of weak in that game too.
Apparently he's really phoning it in.
Yeah, and it's just like, I feel like the game, there was an end to that story, but there wasn't enough of the story in the base game. there was
You had to go
something-
and read cards online to get backstory
yeah,
and
and
this
it's
kind of
just
thing.
like that's really phoning it in.
Yeah, that's
And-
so like unimmersive. Whereas
Yeah.
again, in a sort of big open world thing like Fallout, or even some things with Borderlands, which
Yeah.
is far more similar in terms of gameplay to Destiny, you can discover little things by backstories by doing a little quest or just finding a random encounter, like
Yeah.
a little Easter egg of a dude named something to a film reference, or you
Yeah.
find like the Minecraft bit or the Mario
Yeah.
bit.
There's
you can
Donkey
find
Kong.
that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a character called Donkey Kong, and it's just like it's those little nods, like
Yeah.
you know, they've never shied away from what they really
It's like
are.
the,
sort of thing.
and even some of the base dialogue, especially in 1, because they're trying to set up what Borderlands is and stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of fleshes everything out and gives you an idea of what's going on with Pandora. But then, from what I've heard of Destiny, I mean, you two can confirm or deny because you played it. It basically most of the story is, I don't have time to explain this. They don't have time to explain that, and then it's like, hey, read this. Here's a card. Read it online, and it's like
The Destiny story is basically okay, this has happened.
Wayne
We're,
swooping.
we're gonna force waves at you for you to destroy it, and then tell you what happens next. Then we're gonna
Yeah.
go through small waves for you. Look at Halo; they essentially do exactly the same thing. Waves are forced at you. However, like the story is giving you an exact reason as to why they're
Yeah.
there. Back on
Jeez.
topic, I'm going
Feel bad,
off of the topic that I was getting onto.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Like
sorry.
what I found with Destiny, anyway, because a lot of people just weren't really playing it too much. They're playing, like, all my friends were playing it, or they weren't, and I was quite heavily into it. I got a bit too much into it probably.
so you waned
I
it.
had my jokes after.
Full on waned it.
I had my Rage friends, and I had my Crucible friends
Yeah.
that I met online that I was playing with.
Yeah.
And my Rage friends, they've all quit Destiny. Well, mostly. There's a couple of them that are still in it. They don't care. But the majority of them are like, yeah, fuck this. This is too much money. However, the people that are heavily into Crucible, they're like, it's about £5 more than what I played for Call of Duty. That's alright. I can deal with it. I might do some of the PvE content as well. Yeah, I can deal with the £20. That's alright. I'll just get the season pass. It's £35 and it isn't too much more expensive than what I was expecting it to be. This compared to the £30 that I paid for Call of Duty, and they are so much more accepting of it, and they're staying in the PvP. They're still playing it. They don't care.
Yeah.
So what I feel like is that the guys that are into the PvE side have been fucked over, but the guys into the PvP side have like, okay, this is regular money. It's slightly more expensive to what we was expecting, but you know what? It's Destiny. It's one of the most anticipated games of the year.
Yeah, I think that's what kills it as well a little bit.
That's
is that
probably
it
also
was-
the problem that we're finding with it, because we're usually more into PvE kind of content and stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's
I
what
know-
I'm trying to get at.
I know we play a lot of PvP games when we play PC. You guys play
Yeah.
Dota. You know, there are like you play
Like Counter-Strike,
Titanfall, we play Counter Strike,
Titanfall.
that sort of thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like I feel like we've been sort of ruined by the fact that Counter Strike gets modded. Like there is actually an official thing where you can build your own maps for Counter Strike and things like that. I think we've been ruined by the fact that a lot of people build their own stuff.
Yeah, I think the last Counter-Strike community map pack was like a couple of quid.
Exactly.
Got you a few maps.
I think we've been ruined by the fact that we grew up in a time where when you wanted a game, you got a full game. You didn't have to buy all these add-ons.
And when you wanted an expansion, it was
wouldn't-
usually a little bit cheaper and was like another fucking full game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when we were talking about it, we were sort of pre-talking about this the other day and stuff. And I was thinking of like what did I really play that was big on expansions and stuff, and I was thinking of like Dawn of War, where
that come with 3 or 4 expansions in it.
yeah, so the first one would be like a whole new set of story missions, and they'd be like standalone expansions, so you didn't need the original, you could get into it any time. They'd have like maybe a new race or two, like Dark Crusade had 2 new races, Town Necrons. So that's a whole new way to play the game, all the new units, different balance, everything's going to play out differently. Then it had loads of new maps for different amounts of players, depending on how many people you played with.
Yeah.
Then like Dark Crusade introduced it almost like the kind of overall taking over the part of the planet thing as well. So it's a completely different way than just doing mission to mission to mission kind of thing. So like we grew up with that sort of content where a DLC, like small DLC, wasn't really a thing. It was mainly just big expansions, and you got a good money's worth for it. Whereas now we're on a lot of games we either don't play or play a lot casually. It's like, oh yeah, pay 20 quid for all this, and it's like, but I want one bit of that. I don't want to pay 20 quid for everything else.
Exactly, and they were always sort of like, I don't know. I feel like, let's say, it goes back to it's like not even that long ago that was a thing, and the way it's like, I think when he said that's ruined us. I don't think that's ruined us. I think the DLC culture at the moment has ruined the later generation of gamers more than anything. Because if you look back on like Diablo 2 released an expansion set, and it was a disc with like a whole new, same like Reaper of Souls. Even though that's like a separate game, you can buy that as an expansion to Diablo, and it was 25-30 quid.
Yeah.
But it's literally a whole new story and thing. And same with StarCraft. Instead of releasing a new game, instead of releasing like a sequel, they've released another part of the story.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how much the Heart of the Void expansion is going to cost, but I think it's a standalone game.
Yeah,
so
it
you don't
is.
need the original one. And it's just like I think that the DLC culture these days, a lot of people have just started buying into the whole microtransactions.
Yeah,
and
well,
exactly.
The problem, like I've been watching, because there's been a lot of videos are coming up again about it recently. Like they come around every now and again, and Total Biscuit especially has been talking a lot about, look, everyone complains about it, but then you need to find the people that are still buying it. If you're doing it yourself, stop it. You're not helping. And you need to find the people you know that are buying and just be like, maybe get them to think about it a bit more, because we kind of have to vote with our wallets on this kind of thing, basically. Like we keep giving them money for it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's just become the new era of gaming where like people will spend more money on like a single mobile game or Facebook game now, more than what we'll spend in an entire year on like say PC and Xbox games. And I worked out like I was kind of ashamed of myself when I thought about it, but I was like before Christmas I'm probably going to spend about £200 on Xbox games, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm going to get you like 4 Xbox games, maybe 5.
Exactly.
4 or 5.
Yeah, exactly.
However, there'll be some bitch on Farmville that spends that in a week.
Yeah, to make their farm go faster.
I think it's just part of how gaming has become not only accessible to a wider audience, but they're trying to appeal to the casual gamer by a lot of single player things now having shortcuts in the microtransactions and stuff like that. Like Assassin's Creed apparently has.
Oh really?
Apparently it has some big fucking microtransactions, like $100 or something. The top one.
Big
like
fucking
Warframe.
matchmaking.
Yeah,
problem.
but like Warframe is shortcut, but you can pay to
easily.
speed things up.
You can't own it
which
easily.
Oh, really?
which makes sense
You
because
can own it, but it's a long.
yeah, but the thing is, that's their business model because it's free to play. Whereas things like Assassin's Creed, or didn't the latest Forza have microtransactions? Or
No.
one of the driving games, it might have been Gran Turismo.
It wasn't Forza.
I can't remember.
They
I
had
don't
DLC.
like
Forza had
driving games, so-
DLC.
It might have been Gran Turismo or something like that, and I can't remember. But there's like a lot of games coming out where you're paying the money, and then it's like you're still doing the grind of unlocking something, and it's like, why? You either grind and pay for the odd shortcut here or there, or you buy a game and everything's there for you to unlock at a fairly decent pace.
Yeah.
Like you can't. The companies are trying to do both, where they go, you can play through the missions and this, and why not spend $1 or $2 on a skin just for your characters? Like, yeah, fair enough. And then they're like, also getting to this level in this will take you a while, so why don't you do maybe a couple of like £5 to skip this and get a boost? And it's like, okay. It's when it starts invading the single player stuff that it gets really fucking annoying.
But then, at what point, if that was to stop, would at some point would we end up losing out on games that we wouldn't normally play, like we wouldn't normally see even? Like, would you see a game like Warframe if the microtransactions didn't happen? Like, would you see it?
You would, because as I said, it's their model. Whereas like the people that are already charging the full, because obviously we've got the new consoles and everything, so the prices of everything, including PC, has hiked up a bit. So all around on every platform at the moment, everything costs about 40-45 quid for a new release. Then they're having like microtransaction shortcuts and little bits and stuff. It's kind of weird. Whereas, although it doesn't always work as a business model, if free-to-play games want to say, look, you can play this for free, it might take you quite a while to get things, but if you want to work at it, fine. If you want shortcuts, there's also that. Like, you have the option to do that, and it's their business model.
I just think, like, with Warframe in particular, their microtransactions are stupidly expensive. If they was a much more reasonable price, I'd actually be a lot more accepting of that game. But the fact that they have a microtransaction that's like over £100, and the stuff that you can get with it isn't too much, it's just like, well, yeah, that's definitely way too expensive. I think if their microtransactions were a lot cheaper, I probably would have spent money on the game. I honestly would have spent money on the game if the microtransactions weren't so high.
Yeah, but then I don't really have that problem because I still play it. Like I have no problem playing it. I play it like fairly casually and still have the frames I want, the weapons I want, whatever. Like you don't have to grind too much, or you can break up the grind and whatever. But it's still the point of that's just a market. That's just a thing. Free to play with microtransactions makes sense. Like Smite. Like if somebody bought me the God Pack, which is like 30 quid, which is the release of a new game.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been back when you bought it for me, and it had all the gods that were currently in it would unlock for me, so I wouldn't have to use the weekly rotation of 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then all future gods. So that's like kind of buying the game and the season pass for the price cheaper than a game.
Yeah.
And I get all the gods and future unlocks and this and that. So that was pretty good. Like as a model, it works, but it's just when they are charging and putting the same level. Like if Warframe cost 30 quid. Then there was all that microtransactions. That would be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that would be taking the piss.
I hear you. I do, and you are completely
I
right.
hear you.
I know you are completely right. I completely agree. I just think there's a point where microtransactions, even in free-to-play games, become stupid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like a lot of them take it too far, which is the only times I've spent money on Warframe is a couple of times when you get the random login reward of 50% off. And because I only end up dropping like 3-4 quid on it, and that stuff lasts me like 6 months to a year.
I just want to take this opportunity to say, Mass, what do you think?
Yeah, I was about to say, Mass has been very vocal today.
Mass is here, guys.
He is still here.
I
just
could
swear,
be here.
we didn't kill him.
I may not be here.
he may not be crying because
you're
he's got
my
chili in his
phone.
eyes.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm just tentatively listening.
What
to
do you
guys.
think? What do you think of these microtransactions and DLC? Speaks.
That is what Mass thinks. He thinks,
No, I think I don't have a problem with it unless it's like an incomplete game. They tend to throw incomplete games at you, and then they're not a complete game until you purchase these microtransactions.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem.
Whereas they're rare, but there's a few of them where the microtransactions don't have any impact on the game. It's a complete game, but it's like it's skins and experience.
Yeah,
It's
aesthetics in any kind of game. If people want to pay a buck or two for aesthetics, I'm fine with that because it's not going to affect your game if you don't have it.
It's not pay to win. It's just pay to look sweet.
Yeah, it's if you want to make your character look a little bit more unique.
That's the issue. Like it's hard to avoid nowadays as well.
Yeah.
And if this model didn't exist at all, what would that mean?
It's like buying a copy of Avatar the film and then getting 2.5 hours through it and then being like the credits roll, and then at the end of it like a
become a thing. Maybe that's the next step. Maybe that's the next step in
Film microtransactions.
If that becomes a microtransaction, I might fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
Well, think about it, say 15 years ago, could you see the gaming industry becoming what it is now with all these microtransactions and DLC?
I can see more games coming out episodically. I think the whole thing of people releasing unfinished games might eventually die out because there is always an uproar when it happens to the people that the game wasn't finished. There's always, the internet is the voice of the masses, and you always see on IGN, like, you see all the trolls, and then you see the guys like, I don't want to buy this because I'd rather have paid 50 quid for a finished game and then this be an extra story type thing.
Yeah, I was just reading up about Assassin's Creed. This is from only a couple of days ago. I thought it was further back. In Unity, Ubisoft included the option to buy in-game Helix credits for real-world money, with prices ranging from $19.99 US for 1,400 to $99.99 for 20,000 Helix credits. You can use these to unlock hackable features such as upgrades and maps, as seen in the above images. So basically, it looks like it's the kind of thing in an old Assassin's Creed that you'd either go, like, in terms of maps of an area, or like a collectible map, you used to unlock those by finding them.
Yeah.
Or in terms of upgrades, you do side missions for upgrades.
Yeah.
But now they're saying you can pay to get them. Obviously, I haven't played the game, and it doesn't say here whether or not that content is locked out unless you buy them.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it seems weird that it's like, we have a mission where you can get this, but do you want to pay for it? It's like, Who the fuck's gonna pay for it? Play the bit of content they've made for
Exactly.
it.
People will pay for it.
People will pay for it.
That's what.
That's
pisses
why
me
they
off.
do it, because it works.
GTA Online, like
Buy money.
a hell of
Yeah.
a lot of YouTubers bought like millions of in-game dollars.
Yeah, but you got to think how much money they make from the YouTubes.
Yeah,
Because
if,
you got
if they buy that money in GTA so they can dick around a lot
Yeah.
and make a lot of content.
I think
Not that I'm saying I agree with it.
10,000
That's still bullshit.
I think $10 million costs something like 20 quid, which is not bad considering a house is like 350.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna play a shitload of it or make a huge YouTube series on it, that's like a decent investment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, to be honest, I'm not.
But the thing is, I haven't played as much of it as you do.
It's
So,
just
is there a
fitting you-
decent way to earn money in the game otherwise? There
Not
isn't really, is
substantially,
there?
because they
No.
haven't put heists in yet, which is
Yeah.
a very contentious subject. Different podcasts.
Don't
will
say
go
the
into
H
that.
word. I know you're wearing a Payday t-shirt, but don't
But
mention
yeah,
heists.
But like,
I
GTA
guess
will
it's just,
get
like,
jelly.
Knowing your audience, like they get away with it because of that reason.
I think the thing is, I think the idea that I don't know whether they're holding back on the heists to get a little bit more money out of people, whether they just haven't finished the heist yet. But like the most I've ever got from a job playing GTA is like 23 grand,
Yeah.
and to buy a decent, like you can get one of those sort of penthouse apartment things. I'm the only one out of all of my friends that hasn't bought a penthouse apartment because I saved some money and just souped up a load of cars.
Yeah.
And like I still have $350,000 left. You earn enough to get that. Wayne is clicking and pointing at me.
By the way, if you pre-order it on the one,
get $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah, but you only get 500,000 in the online and 500,000 in the main game.
That's mega shit.
Yeah, I got 500,000 for free because of the Brock version, the balked version of the online. I got
Yeah.
as part of that. So, but like, yeah, I think that has uses if you want it, because it's not giving you something instantly. You have the money to do the things you want to,
Yeah.
as opposed to buying the cars or buying the thing with real money. The same with the Helix credits. I feel like with the Helix credits thing, I'm guessing you could probably earn them as well. And
I'm pretty sure you can.
yeah,
I don't know. It seems more like you can either earn some of the things you're using them to buy,
yeah.
or you can use that alternate currency as a shortcut. Like
Oh right, so it's like the two
that's
different
what it
currency
seems
type
like.
deal.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, but just
Again,
sort of
haven't
like,
played it, so I'm just kind of
just
guessing.
to sort of end it though, I think my main worry with going back to the Destiny thing is Bungie have made some iconic games. We're talking the original, like the Halos. We talked about what was it called? Marathon. They had the Marathon games, which were like the first-person shooter games from the 80s on the
sort of
PC.
the games that Halo were related to.
Yeah, the ones
Yeah.
that Halo were indirectly related to. They also released Oni on the PS2,
One of
which
the-
is one of my
Amazing.
favourite first games on the PS2. You know,
Yeah.
they've released quite a lot of games. I sort of indirectly followed Bungie my whole life,
Yeah.
and I feel like this expansion thing, should it not go well, Activision will sue them. They will get shut down, and there will be no more Bungie.
Yeah.
And I know Bungie,
or at least Bungie will be out of like a publisher. They could just be
Exactly.
floating around.
Exactly, but I don't think, to be honest, I don't think that's a bad idea. Like, I think Bungie could hold their own if they wanted to. I think the only thing I can think of
But
is that,
if Destiny goes south, will they be able to? That's the
that's
thing.
the point.
They
Exactly.
might get rid of all their goodwill with
Exactly,
like,
and
consumers.
The thing is that at the moment, looking at it, I think that Bungie have made enough money from Halo, and they probably are still to a point making some money off royalties, because the main people who made Halo are now working on Destiny.
Yeah.
I feel like Bungie are a big enough company that they've been taken on by Activision. If Activision were to sue them, they could fight back.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Bungie they've had their contract written quite a bit.
Yeah.
They've had it written, they've had it read, they've had their terms laid out. I think that Bungie have guaranteed them a certain amount of sales, which they're getting, and after that, it's nothing to do with that. I mean, this 10-year plan, they did the same thing with Halo,
Mm.
and I feel like that worked very well, but Destiny hasn't quite gone as well.
Yeah.
We need to see what happens with Destiny 2.
Yeah, Destiny 2 was already in development as of like
As of Destiny 1 release.
Yeah, basically that's of
Yeah.
the release of Destiny 1. So which means, in theory, that unless they've got a separate team working on it, the Destiny DLC has already been completed, and they're just holding it back from people.
Yeah.
Would that
to be
surprise you?
honest,
With
like,
Activision, no.
like I don't trust. I don't believe there is a single company out there now that doesn't do that. They might say they don't do that, but in retrospect, every single publisher could be doing that, including people who make Borderlands,
The
Skyrim.
last thing I can think of was Bioshock Infinite. They had a season pass, they had ideas for the DLC, but right up until launch, they were sorting with the game, and because everybody expects, announce what the DLC, what it'll be, what the price is, like about as soon as it released, and they were just like, we don't fucking know. We haven't started. We haven't actually started on it yet. We're fixing this game you just bought.
After.
Yeah.
So I quite
But
like
apparently
that
it was
idea.
good.
Yeah,
and
I've heard it
worth
was really
playing.
good.
Yeah.
Apparently they went back to what do you call it, Rapture,
because they're kind of boring.
because why not? But
Yeah.
like I think I completely agree that there is a thing of game is released with. Like with the Destiny thing, the people have found on the map when they got locked out of the game, all the levels appeared. Yes, sure, the levels have appeared. They probably appeared through updates, but you've also got to remember that when they release the game, it still might not be finished.
Yeah.
If they've got a date they need to work to, and this could be an extra, like it's not part of the story, it's a side thing.
Yeah.
Like with Borderlands,
it could be like placeholders and things they tack on to update it into later and stuff.
Let's say Borderlands was completely. And same with Fallout. Same with Oblivion. I'm not sure so much about Skyrim. Is that in the same sort of world? Or is that in the same map? Or
what do you mean?
Dragonborn is in the same map.
No, Dragonborn is a whole separate
maps.
island/continent.
See, that sort of thing is like they're separate maps. They're quests on different places, and I feel like even if with Captain Scarlet, part of that could already be on the disc, or it could be part of an update, and they're sort of updating it and putting it in there little bits by little bits. But I have faith that I have a faith that with games that I like playing, like the companies that are releasing them, they actually are working on it when they release the game.
Yeah.
Not they have it but they're not releasing it type thing. I get kind of sick of the whole I suppose you call it Street Fighter saga, where the characters were on the disc. Like they were just you buy them and they unlock like that. And it was just like, what's the point? And same with
Resident Evil
Mercenaries. Yeah, they had the Mercenaries Plus thing that was already on the disc.
Yeah.
And there was one more thing with Street Fighter Cross Tekken where it was a download to get 10 extra characters, but it was like 144 kilobytes. Now a lot of DLC from Capcom has been 144 kilobytes.
Yeah.
And 10 extra characters seems a bit far-fetched. But what they said that it was part of an update. But they found like half-done characters on the disc and stuff like that. So it was like, where is the line?
Kind of shady.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And I mean, now with Street Fighter now just releasing.
I think a lot of the problem is with that sort of thing is always just if they're open with you, you know what to expect. Whereas if they kind of shuffle around and lie, it's like people will be more annoyed at that than if you just openly say, yeah, we've actually got them done. Like we had a separate small team working on that beforehand. People will be like, okay, they either understand or they get pissed off. Whereas the way they do it, everyone kind of gets pissed off.
Yeah, they'll either buy the game or they won't.
Yeah.
I think it was Tekken that did it, Tekken Tag Tournament, and they put the thing in. It was like pre-order bonuses where you get these two characters or these two characters on.
Yeah.
And people going through what people do for some reason is they put the disc in the PC and they go through all the files and try and find any things that they haven't put in the game that aren't unlocked. And someone was like, all of these characters are already in the game, why are you charging us for them? And the guy turned around and was like, we were never going to charge you for them. They're there, but we're just timed releasing. He says they're going to be more as well, and they'll all be free. They're not on the disc, but we're just going to release them. And then, like, over the next 3 months, I think they released, like, 10, 12 new characters that were just, like, odd bits from old games, like little fanboy nods and stuff like that. Yeah. And then they released Dr. Boskonovich, which was this random, like, callback to Tekken 3. And it was just like, you know, I like that. But at the same time, I think they could have charged and probably got away with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the way Street Fighter worked out, I didn't think they wanted to go down that road of the games. They're already on the disc. We're not going to give them to you.
It could also just have been a fact that they got caught out.
Maybe it could have been, but I don't think why would they announce 11, 12 characters and not charge you for them? They could have said that there are going to be extras, but for 4 characters it will be like £2 or something like that, and you're just like, oh, okay. I would have been, to be honest, as a Tekken fanboy. Like I would like kill for it. The new Tekken game. If they ever brought that to England, I'd find out where they got that arcade machine and I would go there. But it's not like I would never. So I'd pay that money. But then when they said it was free, I was just like, you know, you kind of have more respect for them.
Yeah.
And when you see the little like cross things between the Street Fighter and Tekken guy, and you just sort of like, you know, they actually have fun with what they're doing, and they cater to the fans, and you sort of believe it a bit more.
Yeah, it's like how Project Red, I think it's their name, the guys behind The Witcher. Is that their name? I think.
Oh, CD Projekt Red, yeah.
Yeah, their stance on DLC has always basically been, it's going to be free. Like, they're like, because if they add more content, they think more people will A, respect them, and B, are more likely to pick up the game because they're like, wow, there's even more stuff to do.
Yeah.
Then they've said with The Witcher 3, they've basically been like, yeah, there'll be some DLC, it could be some chunky stuff, it's going to be free. And it's like, great. I'm pretty sure there's free DLC for Witcher 2 as well, but I'm not sure. Yeah. I only played a bit of it. So.
Yeah, and it was just, I like that. I like the one of the things they said for Witcher 2, and someone asked them, was like, is there going to be any like substantial DLC? And they were like, no. And they were like, why not? You could make quite a bit of money off this, like, because we release a full game. Yeah. And if we want side quests to be in the game, we'll make sure they're in the game before we release it.
Yeah.
And I think it's that reason, again, sort of coming full circle to bring it to an end, that is why that game was delayed, like most of the others. There's been quite a few delays, like I think with the Division being delayed indefinitely because they said the game was never going to be good enough. Like they learned their lessons. Watch Dogs was released too quickly and there was too many problems. Now Assassin's Creed Unity's come out. Like they've had to keep their year release thing. Yeah, and there's been massive problems.
There's like people clipping through the floor. People like that NPC actors' faces aren't loading.
Yeah.
People like the player character clipping through the floor into infinity and.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, I feel like if a game is delayed, such as The Witcher or The Division, I sort of have a little bit of renewed faith in it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be. You know that when it's released, it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah,
they release it. I'd rather buy a game for 6 months, a year later.
Yeah,
and it'd be full.
I don't think
buy a year beforehand and it'd be Unity.
I think they're saying The Division might not even come out next year. They said they don't know when the game is going to be good enough, and they said when the game is good enough. Someone asked them, "Is like, when are we going to see The Division on shelves?" And they're like, "When it's ready."
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. And they've even said that they were meant to release. And someone said a little while ago they were meant to release a new Rainbow Six at the beginning of next year, but they said there wouldn't have been enough content in the game to justify it. So we're not releasing.
It's like Evolve. Evolve got pushed back, but thinking about how much you have to tweak and balance that game, I can absolutely see why, and they probably want to add some more little bits to it and flesh things out.
With Turtle Rock Studios though, looking at Left 4 Dead, I very much I think they very much they know what their audience wants. They played Left 4 Dead and they're continuously tweaking it. And when they released Left 4 Dead 2, not only did they add melee weapons and things like that, but they also added the original campaign into the PC version with those extra melee weapons and stuff like that. So it's like someone was like, "This is good, but I'd like to play with melee weapons." Sure, fine. Here you go. If you own Left 4 Dead 1, you can now play.
And it was like,
weapons.
"Oh, by the way, here's all this stuff from Left 4 Dead 1, but we've done some balance tweaks and stuff to this like couple of years old game to like some of the levels and stuff." Like I remember they changed the ending of No Mercy, so there was a certain camping spot you couldn't do, and they fixed like really old, well-known glitches and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like they're still supporting the fan base that loved the first one with the release of the second one. That kind of thing.
I think that sort of got rid of the boycott a little bit as well.
Yeah.
They were, did you see the pictures of the like the forum that was boycotted, and then like
everyone's in Left 4 Dead
release, they were all playing Left 4 Dead 2. It's like, well, there was that boycott.
Yep.
But
sticking to your guns.
Mass, what's your closing comment for the podcast?
Regarding what?
Regarding the podcast.
Mass is drunk, I think.
Mass
is the sleepiest.
Sleeping
just to point out,
I'm comatose right now.
Just to point out, Wayne's come here straight from work. We've started it straight from college. Mass has been at work all day, and he looks like he's just rubbed chili in his eyes. Funny enough, he did before the podcast.
Yeah.
And Tom has to be up at 7 a.m. So we're all just sort of like, let's get this done, go quickly. So it's sort of like one of those, I don't know if you've noticed, but a few of us have been quite silent during parts of the podcast because we're all sort of recharging.
It's been a long day, man.
It's been a long day. But I'm glad we got this time to come back and talk to you guys about...
Yeah, man.
It's been a long time
I think we mentioned some of our topics that we meant to in a roundabout way.
I think we got through them. We touched upon them and then digressed and then came back to them.
There was something about films for like 3 years.
Or the digression.
Yeah, but I mean, we're back-ish. I'm sure we're half back because
don't say we're back. Say we're still here. We never left.
Yeah, we never left. We just went on holiday.
We never left. We were just in the shadows.
I went to Cyprus. Tom went to America, and then we stopped.
Yeah.
that was it. It was gone.
Kind of. Yeah.
I mean,
I blame Mass.
there is eventually, when the time comes, there is a new series of We Suck At actually has been recorded.
Yes.
Has been recorded for a while.
It'll come out someday.
But we're gonna charge
It'll be out when it's ready.
Yeah.
We're gonna charge you for it.
It's in limbo.
Yeah. You can either pay 35 quid for all the episodes, or you
£10
can
each.
yeah, £10 per game, which will be like 2 episodes. We don't want to completely rip them off. Come on.
No, we'll give it to them in microtransactions.
Yeah.
If you'd like to see me in
if you want to skip 10 minutes through the video, you have to give us 2 quid.
If you
don't like this,
if you want to see the last 3 minutes of the video, you need to give us like £4.50.
This is like the only way that we're ever going to make money out of this.
Yeah.
But
Thank you for listening, guys.
Yeah, I think it's been pretty productive.
Our video's in.
See you later.
Not half of the technical problems.
Oh, we fixed them.
Ta-ta for now.
Yeah. Ta-tas for now.